This workshop is on internal public relation or internal PR as a part of the PR week celebration. The theme of the PR week is We Are All PR. As a simple definition of internal PR is that PR committee and NA members communicate to the fellowship why our public image is so important. Internal PR and the NA member. The most common form of internal PR is the learning day, where an area or regional PR committee conducts the workshop on public relations. But there are other forms, as we will discuss that today, later in this workshop. The most important concept to convey to the NA members about public relations is that all of us are responsible in conveying a positive image of Narcotics Anonymous to the public. And for our workshop today, we are going to focus on the image of Narcotics Anonymous and why it is important for our member to think about our image. And from here, I will give it to Eric.
All right. Hi, I'm a recovering addict named Eric. I'm here in Hawaii. I'm a member of the APF PR work group, and we are who we are. Who we are, what we do, and how we act creates an image of Narcotics Anonymous. It also influences how other people see us and how we see ourselves. We are not simply members of NA who serve on a committee. We are responsible for the image of NA that we convey to the public and to the fellowship. Respect as a spiritual principle for public relations. We can improve relationships for our fellowship by taking care to treat everyone with courtesy and respect. We need to project a positive image of NA so that individuals will feel comfortable directing addicts seeking recovery to our meetings. While no one person represents NA, the general public may perceive the things we say and do as being representative of the behavior of members in Narcotics Anonymous. Whether we are interacting within the fellowship or out in the public's eye, we need to ensure that we behave in a manner that is attractive. And that portion was taken from our guiding principles, Tradition 11. It's an opening essay. So Amitabh, you're up.
Yep, thanks, Eric. So the traditions that guide our public relations. So when we do public relations, we are guided by these traditions. In fact, all of the traditions, but these three traditions speak specifically to public relations.
A little slower, please, slow down.
Sure. All the traditions, the 12 traditions, in a way guide us in our interactions within the fellowship and outside the fellowship. But these three traditions are specifically about public relations. And the first tradition that talks about it is Tradition 10. Narcotics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the NA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. For an example, if you go and meet a professional, a doctor, or a government officer, or anybody who is not Narcotics Anonymous, and they ask you, what do you think about the government's drug policy? We don't have an opinion on any drug policy. The only thing we have an opinion on is recovery from drug addiction. That's the only thing we talk about. So if we stay away from that, then we stay away from LE controversy, because our focus is just one. We have only one message, only one goal, that no addict seeking recovery need ever die. And that's all we talk about, recovery from addiction. Tradition 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. So there are two parts to this tradition, right? The first part is our policy is based on attraction, not promotion. So we don't go around telling the whole world that we are the best, that our program is the most effective, that every other program is not effective. We don't do that. We only attract. And how do we attract? By going and giving presentations about who we are, by talking about who we are within the fellowship amongst our members, that this works for us. So I talk about my experience, and I tell whoever wants to listen that this works for me. The NA way works for me, right? And the second part of that tradition is we need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. And you know, when this tradition was written, there wasn't any social media, but now there is. So at the, you know, you can presume that that's also being talked about here. So what I say as an NA member, I have to be very careful in the public. You know, we talk about Narcotics Anonymous. We don't talk about Amitabh. We don't talk about Eric. We don't talk about Neeta. We are talking about our fellowship. So it's very important to keep my personal anonymity safe. You know, that I don't need to tell the whole world when I'm talking about NA that Amitabh is talking about NA. So this tradition makes that clear. And the 12th tradition is the anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. So once again, connected with the last tradition, anonymity is the most important principle. And you know, if you look at the word anonymity, it literally means without a name, right? So what we do here is carry the message of Narcotics Anonymous, and we remember that the principles that guide us in our recovery are more important than any personality. So all the principles that we have, and our literature talks about a lot of principles, whether it's honesty, whether it's inclusivity, whether it's anonymity, whether there are many principles that we've practiced that they are more important than any individual. So these are the three traditions that guide us in our public relations efforts, whether we do that public relations within Narcotics Anonymous, inside, or whether we do it outside.